right, boys, let's talk about our next match coming up. It's going to be Ermagerd Caernervern versus Refuse to Die. Now, we've seen the play from these guys before. What's your opinion on them, Andre or Ruka, whoever wants to start off?
I'll take the lead with this one. Ermagerd Caernervern is a clan is a group of guys I'm very familiar with. I know all of them. Some of them, I actually even made it to a tournament. We made it to Russia for the Eurosteel tournament.
A lot of Simp guys, right?
Well, actually, no. Those were all Red Sky guys. This was before I was in Simp. Yeah. So we made it to Russia. I didn't go. I had things to do. I had school. But they went off to Russia, and they made a pretty decent showing for themselves. And this is...
Disappointed in you.
I'm sorry, man.
No,
but
where's your passion?
I couldn't get a passport in time, so... It was safer to take other guys.
I'll take that.
That in school, I couldn't. I'd be missing quite a bit of school. I couldn't bear to miss that. I mean, gotta graduate. I mean, still gotta finish up. But there are two members of the team that are actually former military, Trouble and the Colonel. They're both military veterans. Mm-hmm. Both of them involved with the armored cavalry, and both of them exceptional tankers. So I'm expecting to see some really nice play out of them. Trouble is a really smart guy. I think we'll see some very interesting, aggressive plays. So I'm hoping he surprises me, and so later tonight I can tell him, good job, buddy.
Well, I hope so as well. Andre, do you have any thoughts on the match before we start?
I'm really too inexperienced with these two teams to really call it. Yes, I did see a series or a match with Ermagerd Caernervern EC. But I can't really draw anything. That's still a very small sample set. So we're just going to leave it be, and I can't wait to see what we have from this match in the round of 16.
Well, the first map has been selected. It's going to be Airfield for our first battle. Airfield, why don't you pull up the map and get ready to tell us a little bit so we can break it down as well and get everybody into the lobby.
I'm getting a little excited. I see a tog right there. Okay. I know it's not going to be used, but I can dream, man. The tugboat.
That's I really hope that's not a real pick. I mean, we can look into the training and see the picks. Again, guys, we do want to remind people that this is the round of 16. So if you win today, you're not there just yet. You have to also play tomorrow. There's going to be a broadcast 6 p.m. Pacific, same time, same channel here at twitch.tv/WGLNA. But when they win the round of 8, it's the top 4 that's able to get a seed for the league, which is really exciting. Again, July 11th, mark your dates.
All right, let's talk about the grinder as we move over to Rookhill.
I'm thinking the grinder could be a big deal this match. We have two teams. I know Ermagerd Caernervern probably going to be very aggressive, and if not aggressive, they're going to lean on their scout, Whiskey Dodd, in which case we'll see plenty of stuff happening in the ruins. So either big time on the north, big lean on the scout for Ermagerd Caernervern, but Refuse to Die is still filled with some very skilled tankers. Sela, one of them. I know everyone should know who Sela is. He is a very good tanker from, I believe he's still in G. I'll have to be corrected if I'm wrong, but he's an exceptional tanker, an exceptional team of players. I expect a very good fight tonight. So if it's not at the grinder, it's going to be down south in the ruins, and if it's not an aggressive push out of a bunch of mediums and heavies, it's going to be a scout game with Artie.
You say that, but I don't see Sela in Refuse to Die's lineup. I see Agonize, CPYR, Island, JBEC, El Puffmo, a Bag, Fnatic, as well as Valkyrie. I don't really see Sela, so
he must be absent tonight. He's on the team, but I guess he's not there. So a Bag of Kittens is the team leader. He used to have another name, but he's one of those people that decided he would rename himself to something cute. So
all right.
There's nothing cuter than a Bag of Kittens.
Exactly, a Bag of Kittens.
Driving tanks. That's going to haunt me.
So someone's going to have to tell me one of these times what his name used to be, and I'll probably just go, oh, that guy. Oh, that makes so much sense. People have been doing this in the game. You can pay a little bit of gold to change your name, by the way. So
that's right. I need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. Cool. So that's a natural way of playing the grinder. Yeah. Let's also talk about some other things that we can see on Airfield as well. Maybe something that you personally like to play as artillery on this map.
Well, from the artillery, we'd see normal positions. Probably are going to be, let's go with up and see the C1 there, G1 down to what is it? K0. K1 for the west side of the map. And then over on the east, almost a mirror are the strongest positions. So those are great arty positions. The angle is incredibly important. From the north, you have great shots into the grinder, at least on the north side. But from the far south, there are a few great shots also into the grinder. Now,
so it's just that you can split from any position.
yeah, if you have 2 arty, you can have great coverage. But 1 arty needs to choose. And generally sitting in the middle, you're going to lose almost all your shots on the grinder. So actually terrible shots if you're going to sit there in the middle. You're going to have to pick either far north, far south. And that's the best way to support the grinder.
You know, I've been watching a lot of matches on this airfield, and one thing I have to note is that there are really good bushes that are extremely predictable. Can you go over some of the bush spots where we're going to see some of these tanks being positioned,
Definitely.
especially near the grinder?
Exactly. Okay, right on the top of the grinder, actually up a very small hill, you've got a circle. We've got a spot here. I'll circle that in white. And another one here. They're both on the top of a bit of a ramp, which to climb these ramps, you do expose yourself, but there is good bush cover on the top. From there, there is some, there are actually great angles out towards the south of each of those positions, and at least towards the bases to which they're closest. So if you take the position in the west, if you take the position to the west, you have great shots to the west. But if you take the position on the hill to the east, you have great shots to the east and the south.
Okay, how are these 2 spots influencing the arty position? Is that why we always see them in either the A1 or K1, and conversely A0 or K0?
Yeah, getting those wide shots, because generally people will try and take cover on what they would consider to be the backside of those rocks, where arty, if they had taken up position in
it's
like
just front on, right?
Yeah, exactly. They want to try and hide from arty as best they can, but arty's going to try and get that wide angle, get those good shots in there, and punish people for getting spotted.
Cool. So that wraps up our pregame analysis for Airfield. Let's take a commercial break real quick while we get everybody ready for our first map of this series. It's going to be on Airfield between Ermagerd, Caernervern, and Refuse to Die. You're watching WGLNA Qualifiers number 1, round of 16. We'll be right back. WGLNA. This is the round of 16. We're getting ready to go into match number 2 between EC and Refuse to Die. We're going to get into the first game on Airfield in just a second. We want to remind people that this is the round 16. Tomorrow will be the round of 8. But if you want to play in the qualifiers in 2 weeks, because next week will be E3, we'll be taking the week off, you can sign up as well. For all information, go to WGLNA, so that you might be the ones that featured. You might be the ones we're doing Skype interviews in just a couple of weeks. Starting on July 11th will be WGLNA official launch.
That's right. For those of you that don't know, $50,000 to first place, $100,000 prize pool. It's going to be a gigantic tournament, and I'm really excited. Rookil is over here, our resident expert, to teach us and to tell all of you guys how to play the game and what these guys are doing. What do you think of the 2 teams? So,
thus far, they've actually started picking, so we have a lineup now.
Oh, great.
So we can take a look at that. We actually got 2 T69s and 3 5100s out of EC. We're going to call Ermagerd Caernervern EC. It's a little bit easier to pronounce. So I'm just going to say EC. So EC picking a full auto-loader loadout, no artillery, which on a map like this, you probably should, I would say it's a good idea to bring. And on the other side, we actually, Sella is in here now. 2 T69s, 2 IS-3s.
Fake.
Yeah, exactly. A T1 and a T2 light, also a Lorraine 155-51. And they've actually gone into battle without us, so we're going to actually miss this first fight. Or they're going to reset, and we might just start this one again. We're actually just going to have to wait back for that one.
Man, this is high school all over again. I didn't even get invited to the party. It's okay.
It's okay. I never got invited.
Well, I did get the invite, but when I get there, it actually was the party number 1. Everyone went to real party number 2. So, guys, we'll take another quick commercial break while we get this administrative thing sorted out. And when we come back, we probably will have the game, but we can't guarantee. You're watching WGLNA. Welcome back, everyone, to WGLNA. If you're just tuning in, we're trying to get all of our administrative things sorted out. So battle number 1 is happening as we speak, but they went without us. So we felt a little left out, but that's okay because in the end, we
they remade.
Oh, they remade it. Did they now?
Right.
We're back after the first battle.
That's
we're
convenient.
just playing it. We're joking with you guys.
But we also want to interact with the fans. We realize that some people have been tweeting at WGLNA. And so who else better to bring it than our dedicated observer superstar? That's That's the title you get,
Mr.
Kev. I hope you're satisfied with that.
I'm
Rotterdam.
actually not sure if I can live up to these expectations, guys. You're building me
It's your
up.
first day.
You should start low. Like
Our
if I've been
dedicated
doing this,
observer peon.
if I've been
Kevin
doing this for
Rotterdam.
years, then I say, okay, guys, okay, I am that guy. But now, I'm not ready yet. But yes, you guys have been tweeting quite a bit. Once more, please hop on Twitter. Tweet at us, WGLNA. And we're actually going to give away some free gold. And you know what, guys? I'm going to give away some free gold right now. As you guys can see behind us, we already have the tweets, but let's just go all out. We see that, yeah, quite a few people have been enjoying the stream. People saying like, it's awesome that Baron hopped on the stream as well. But the first giveaway of tonight is going to go to Jeremy Moore, who said, I wish I could use the gold for a nice air conditioner.
Well, good luck with that.
Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. But hey, I do hope that this nice gold is going to cool you down a little bit when you can perhaps pimp up your tank a little bit or just get some other stuff
Maybe he
going
can
for you.
get vents on his tank.
He could transfer vents
Right,
from
and
one
get
tank to
plus
another.
5 to cruise skills.
Or
How
you
about
can just
that?
like get some Coca-Cola for the crew. That always helps.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
That's
we can
what I
go
do.
down that
I
one.
like Coke.
A bar of chocolate does not lower the temperature in the tank, unfortunately. Thank you very much, Kev, for that appearance, and congratulations to Jeremy Moore for winning gold. And make sure that you can follow WGLNA for your opportunity to win some gold as well throughout the night.
That's right. Tweet at us, guys. There's more chances for you to win that gold. But for now, we're going to go and step into a little bit of the game. Actually, we were wrong. Game 1 already ended. Game 2 will be on Prokhorovka. I'm sorry, I butchered that.
And game 1 did go to
okay.
EC.
Okay, so EC is up 1-0, just like that.
Just like that.
All right, so now Prokhorovka is map number 2. Let's pull it up on the telestration and talk about it. Rukil, what can you talk about this map?
All
With
right.
these two teams, with the knowledge of the two teams that you have, because you said you're very familiar with them.
Yep. Well, if we remember when we watched Ermagerd Caernervern, was it yesterday or the day before?
Day before.
Day before. We actually remember we saw them book it over the middle. They actually pushed right on over where we saw 2 tanks go off, split a little bit, one going down, but the other one stayed alive for a little while. And at the same time, we saw the other team actually start from and go towards the west side of the map, taking control. But Ermagerd Caernervern made a very interesting strat that I saw yesterday. It was very aggressive. They moved many of their tanks up towards the ridge and used that control that they took right at the beginning, right at the start, to really do a great job in Prokhorovka. I really was impressed and surprised by that strat. I wonder if we'll see it today.
Yeah, I think definitely going down that forest line using the bush covers really well could work in their favor, but I'm really interested to see how Ermagerd Caernervern is going to try to go on Prokhorovka. Andre, do you have any thoughts as well?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there really influences the spatial balance, and obviously for them to pop out right into the center is really, really important. I am of the opinion that center control is probably of the most important things in any strategy game, whether we're talking about RTS, FP, anything. It's really important, and it's exemplified so much not only in this but also in chess. Once you get it and gain that center control, you're able to move about and react a lot better than your opponent. So as long as they can get there and not take too much damage along the way, I feel like they'll have a really nice advantage.
Exactly. Middle control is very important in this map, however difficult to sustain, because when you go into the middle, you actually also put yourself on high exposed ground. There's only 2 spots in the middle of the map where tanks can actually find some cover. There's some houses, they're destructible, but I wouldn't consider those the applicable cover. The 2 rocks in the middle of the map are the
Good
best
enough for
spots.
one shot.
Yeah, exactly. So taking control of the map is important, powerful, maybe very tempo setting, but potentially it can really mess you up if you do it wrong.
What
Now-
about the,
Go ahead.
what about the RD spots? Where can we really see the good position? We saw a little bit of it last series long when we saw Steps and Prokhorovka, but what can we really expect in terms of RD positioning as well?
All right, for RD positioning, it's not uncommon to put tanks on either side of the tracks, going to one side or the other. There's some kind of cover there. There's a lot of bushes, and RD has various different lanes of fire. If you send your RD out to A12, they've got shots, but they don't have shots past the tracks. Now there is a decent spot over in what is that, E6, that you can get some nice shots to slide your shots into, but I think it's actually better for an RD to be near the tracks because they can either fire over them in either direction, and you have a smaller blind spot, especially since you're still going to be firing probably into other parts of the map. So from the south, it's actually about the same thing. K1 is a really nice spot. There's a hill there to hide behind, and you've got great shots. But again, you are blinded by the tracks there. You can't get a lot of shots over unless you have a high arcing artillery like a T-92 and M40-43. And even then, you're going to have some slim shots in a few places.
Okay.
But again, on the tracks, a nice ability to shoot over the trains.
All things to consider now that we have our first tanks already chosen. Let's hop onto the screen and see what's going on thus far in tank selection. A WZ-132 popping out, but do we see anything else special here, Andre?
Over on the Team 1 side, just a T-69 and a T-1. Nothing of, well, an AMX-1390. Nothing of too much just yet. Team 2, what are we seeing, though? We have a T-69, AMX-1390s, AMX-5100. So an AMX-5100 being used on this map. Very interesting. You know, we a lot of times talk about the gun depression of the French tanks. The 1390s, yes, they don't have good gun depression, but they have that speed to make it up. 5100s, they're good all-around tanks for doing damage, but, you know, Provorovka has some pretty hilly places. Talk to me about how they're going to, you know, sort of utilize this 5100 on the map.
Well, I think they might have a little bit of trouble. They're going to have to try and find big, open, flat places where the 5100 is actually going to snipe at the enemy. So maybe a nice west push, or they might try and hog against the tracks. But we're actually, I don't think they're going to put Urtai into an artillery piece. However, we see that Refuse to Die has actually chosen a Lorraine 155-50 instead of a 51. That is a tier 6 light. I would have gone with perhaps a GW Panther. Exactly. That's a good artillery with a very wide arc. You don't have to move your tracks a lot. It's got a little bit of a turret. In real life, I believe the turret actually rotated much more than it does in game, but that
would have been much more useful.
Indeed. I'm thinking they could have chosen a more applicable artillery piece, but we'll see how the 155-50 works out.
Okay, and we actually see the final picks. No artillery chosen for EC here, and it seems like we're having the last couple picks. So the game's going to start in just a couple of seconds here between Refuse to Die and EC. But real quick, just based off the look here, what do you think the team has an advantage in terms of composition?
Well, I'm seeing that Artie as useful, but perhaps a little bit less efficient. There are other Arties picked, and there's usually a good reason. Now, this player might be good in it, but because EC has not chosen an artillery piece, I'm expecting a very aggressive strat again. Something to take control of the map, really shove it to that arty piece, and not give him any good shots.
All right, so that wraps it up for our pre-match analysis. Let's get ready for map number 2 between EC and Refuse to Die on Prohorovka. Rush. They heard me. By the way, I forgot it was mine.
You'd be proud of that. Okay, you'd be proud.
Kevin was telling me, you're so Russian. I'm like, oh, why, thank you. Welcome to Prohorovka. Let's talk about the opening moves here from both teams. Oh, just like you were mentioning before, a charge down the middle is definitely something we could see. And what do we see out of...
We're going to get an engagement real fast here, so I'm going to get on someone before I miss all the action.
AMX-1390 is targeted down. The WZ-132, played by Whiskey, is able to connect his first shot, and the second shot will be connected on the rear end. Jabek taking about 400 damage so far.
Can't afford to lose too much. Whiskey still trying to get some good spotting while being safe, using the bull to be able to avoid any kind of damage. Trouble getting shots on Sella, and Sella taking massive amount of hits, down to just 200. Nope, see you later. I'll see you in the next battlefield. And then just like that, EC up to a 1-0 lead.
Wow, they popped over the top there. AMX-1390, a bag of kittens chasing down now Whiskey, and Whiskey's actually going to crash into his friend. Gomes is not looking good. They lost a lot of speed from that. Can they actually make some headway from that, though?
Oh, they can. J-Back is surrounded, and he's not going to live for too long. A bag of kittens has abandoned his teammate just for some cover. And one down 1390 would be huge for Team EC, because here they can go up 2-1. Here comes big flanks from the T1s, but they're not doing much. They're just to keep the spot on.
There he goes. J-Back is down. Bag of kittens reloading. Whiskey Dodd, being a consistent fire tank, isn't going to have trouble staying in the engagement, as Tarasta and Vect and T1s are even cresting in. It's over.
Death of kittens is what we saw here, man. And just like that, 7 against 4 in favor of Team Ermagerd Caernervern, and they are making a big power play over here in the bottom West Valley. Looks like the team has been discovered. Island, he can't stay here for too long. He's just a tier 2 Tetrarch, and the AMX-50 from World War II Fnatic, he's going to be 1 versus 7. How long can he hold on here?
Not long. Here we go. Urtide, Trouble 2, getting in position. Trouble up on the hill. Probably reloaded. And there he goes. Sharn finishing him off. And all that's left is that a T2. Valkyrie actually running to cap.
Well, this must be very awkward for Valkyrie saying, you know, I thought we were going to stick to the game plan, guys, but none of them have died. It's 7 against 1. The worst odds you can favor. Again, props for some members of Team EC being able to live 1 health point for Durasta. Whiskey's going to try to move in here. WC 132 against a T2 Light. T2 Light not very good at turning, so even the jukes won't be able to be executed that easily by Valkyrie.
And there he is tracked, and Whiskey's just playing with his food now.
He's
The
going to clean
pounce
up.
and the finish, well played. 7-0 sweep for map number 2. EC, perhaps a class above, refuse to die.
Perhaps.
Yeah, they just pushed above the hill, man. They said, I do not care if I'm super exposed. I'm just going to go for it. And they were able to take first blood pretty quickly on actually Sella.
Yeah,
It looked a lot like the Wargaming trailer, the World Tanks trailer, where everyone just kind of ran toward each other. I'm like, that never happens in competitive play. That just happened.
Yeah, in competitive play. That was a reverse of what they did yesterday, perhaps with a little bit of refinement. So I really like that. They sent only Whiskey over at the beginning. Whiskey is their lead scout, an exceptional scout player. I know the guy, went to high school with him.
Oh,
Did you
Best, oh yeah, went
What
to
else did you do with him?
played World of Tanks.
All right, well, very good.
Yeah. So
Sounds
he's
awesome.
You two go way back then.
Oh, way back. We're bros.
Like a year.
Yeah, more than that, like 3 or 4. So, Whiskey is my bro, and then on top of that, I know all of Red's guy. I know they've been prepping. I know Trouble's been contacting me every time he gets a chance to, and it's like, oh, Rude, you're gonna be so excited about this next match. Oh, Rude, we're gonna really show him. Oh, Rude, we're gonna make a good show. And well, so far, I think so.
I had no clue he was there. I should have known he when he walked in. Shame on me.
Yeah, shame on you, Trouble.
All right, so let's look at the damage report and see what actually transpired and who was able to be the most valuable. Who would you give the MVP award to? Would you give it to Whiskey for being able to get
Definitely
It's
giving
Whiskey.
it to Whiskey.
Oh my goodness.
He played a fantastic
What does
tactic.
Whiskey mean to you, Rue?
Well, we actually made Whiskey Dodd's name. The DoD actually stands for Destroyer of Dance. He's
Tell me
very
a little bit about like what you guys did previous to.
what we
World
did
of Tanks.
previous to this World of Tanks.
Yeah.
We were in band together. I played the trombone. He played the trombone and the baritone.
Oh,
we were a marching
whoa,
band.
Okay.
Yeah. We were both in the same section.
He's top tier.
So
Wait,
yeah.
you were his.
Well, it's not his section leader, but I was his drum major.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So
You two made quite the team.
No,
I'm
we
sure-
were
I'm
we
sure
were the
you
best
guys
low brass
would have
section
been really good.
ever. I mean, you should have heard us. So that was.
Let's
it
pull
was-
up
it
the
was
mini map
awesome.
and even talk a little bit about
Yes.
the map movements and stuff, and you can kind of illustrate what just happened. But again, let's look at the damage report as Root gets ready. Want to also give a couple of shout outs to some of the other team members. Andre, who else did you think did really well?
Obviously, we had the T-69 plane by Scharnhorst pump out 1,800 damage, an incredible amount of damage. He was definitely one of the front runners. But man, I was following Whiskey the whole time. I really like following these WZ-132s. And he was able to play a great positional game. I mean, he was always flanking, always up, spotting for everybody. And just when you thought he was going to get blown up, he put himself in a situation where it was impossible. He would go into the valley point and just take cover while all the holsters were really pointed at him. And then once they weren't, he went in again. He was very situationally aware with every single tank.
Just have to emphasize, no member from Refuse to Die able to get into the 4-digit damage count. Huge, just because EC was able to avoid lots of damage, great dodging, and great movements overall from Team EC. Let's go and hopping over to your telestration as well. What's going on? And
All right. Well, I tried to just draw arrows real quick just to show you how they attacked. We saw a straight up blitz from across the map here, and so we saw
This sounds like my Pee-wee football strategy guide.
they just went straight at him. A good spread here, and just right on over. Whiskey leading the charge right here. Actually went and broke off one of the 1390s. Then he was followed up by another 1390 where they cut him off because right here they cut off 2 tanks in those defilades and then destroyed them. Which it took a second, but I mean. Refuse to Die didn't actually react fast enough. They didn't get their 5100, their T-69s into position.
It's also true that they were running 2 AMX 1390s. Not EC, Refuse to Die was running 2 AMX 1390s. There was only one by their opponents, right? EC was able to say, okay, I know you are not good at moving shots when you're going to take position in the first, let's say, minute of the game. Let me take advantage of it, go into the middle. If I see any AMX 1390s, I'll have positive equity because you will not shoot me. Or at least if you do shoot me, it's going to be very rare because those are terrible at shooting on the move.
Exactly. You know exactly about the 1390, terrible on shooting on the move. So if you're trying to move and shoot, you have to get really close and you have to really you have to have a steady hand to get those shots on target. I mean, even if you are a steady hand, RNG can screw you and you can just have shots go on the outside of the reticle.
So that being said, I feel like when you're looking at Refuse to Die's lineup, it's still very powerful. It's not an outdraft by any means, in my opinion. You're still playing the positional arty game, but you cannot go up to... Can you pull up the Telestrator again?
Yeah.
You can't go up to, I would say, the F line, the G line, the H line. Even the H line, that's a little risky, in my opinion. You have to slowly advance your position, use that arty, just stop the game, but don't try to go too far up because in the event there is a blitz straight into the center, you will not have positive equity because you have those two AMX 13.
They should have really taken some map control right at the beginning, and their tanks weren't ready for that. They were not prepared for that kind of a blitz. It caught them off guard, and it really worked. Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot of aggressive play, a lot of blitzes out of Ermagerd Caernervern. That seems to be their play style.
They're 2 up. They have a gigantic range of plays to make. They can do anything right now. They can go for the blitz. They can go for the very positional game. It's all in their hands.
Yeah, exactly. We can't forget about the mental game.
That's all right. Well, that's all stuff to consider. The third map has already been picked. It is going to be Engsk, and that'll happen as soon as we come back from commercial break. You're watching WGLNA Qualifiers Round of 16. Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA Round of 16 Qualifier number 1. We're in the middle of a series between EC and Refuse to Die, but EC is making it look easy, as right now they're up 2-0 and going into Engsk for map number 3.
That's right. Ferdinand, I want to actually talk a little bit about the match, the series, almost game theory as you go into it. Are you making fun of me?
No, Kevin's making me laugh.
Okay.
He's like, oh, snap.
Okay, EC is up 2-0. I mentioned this before. When you're up 2-0, you have a gigantic range of different strategies that you can do. Whereas if you're down 0-2, you're thinking, I do not want to lose. Let's not do a risky play at all and make it, even though it's a coin flip, we don't want to leave the last qualifier game or battle in a coin toss. Rookhill, you're here to talk to us a little bit about that and what is open now to EC over if they were down, let's say 0-2, or even 1-1 or 2-2.
Well, it's probably actually a really deep discussion to have because it's like, what do you do when you're down? You can't take a risk that you wouldn't have otherwise taken.
Yeah.
But at the same time, taking the risk could be exactly what you need to come back.
Yeah.
So is it attack? Is it defend? Is it play a special play, something out there? I mean, what would you do if you were in this position?
Well, this is the position where practice comes into play, right? As EC, I have a lot of simulations run where I know this strategy is 50%, like straight up 50%, or even 40%. I'm not going to run it in my first games, but if I'm up 2-0, let's go ahead and run it. I can get a quick win sometimes, so I can get this win and just close it out 3-0, and I've mentally destroyed my opponents. When you're down 2-0, though, what always comes into my mind is, what are my strengths, all right? And if endgame is their strengths, and we've seen 2 very fast blitzes, we want to slow the game down as much as possible. That's why I think Engsk is a very intelligent choice. Engsk, you have the ability to slow the game down, go over to the west side, get that city position, and just say, I'm going to play my game. And we're going to see who's the better player. If I get this win, it's going to be a huge confidence boost, and I can gain the momentum in the coming, hopefully, 2 games.
Yeah, well, they're going into the match now, so...
That's right. So real quick, let's talk about the tanks that we're seeing. And after we can just go straight into the game, the countdown has already started. Game number 3 on Engsk will be the site of battlefield between these 2 teams. EC versus Refuse to Die. They cannot lose another match. What will happen? Let's find out. All right, battle number 3 on Engsk. What's going on here, Rookhill?
All right, well, I'm seeing right now They're moving what looks to be out towards the east. We see CPYR, World War II Fanatic, and Agonize here moving out towards the east. So it could be a slow play, but it's not going to be the one you would have expected. They haven't brought an Arty, and they've brought actually a lot of heavy tanks with a nice mix of medium tanks. So going out to the east, I wouldn't have expected it, but it looks like they are. So they could be trying to play a trick here on EC by not playing into the safe thing, not slowing it down like you were talking about.
That's crazy. I mean, so bold to do something like that, right? When you're down 2-0, the qualifiers, qualifying for a $100,000 tournament is on the line. You're really going to play it out like this, but hey, it speaks very, very loud noises to me.
Yes.
That they are willing to do something like this. Gomes is going to get over here on the east side and really scout out to make sure to see if there's any coverage over here. He doesn't have great retreat paths, though. That's the one thing I do have to say. He's like super far up there. Is there a better place for him to be positioned?
Well, it's not really a big deal right now because actually both teams are on the opposite side of the map. EC has actually gone into the city, and on the other side of the map we've had R2D. They've actually gone into the east side of their cap, so they're across the train tracks from each other right now, and we've actually got a T1 that's going to actually he's spotted and engaged by EC's T1. I'd want to see who's going to go down here in a second. Has any damage been traded?
They're just looking at each other.
They're just looking at each other, man.
I think Gomes is in a position where it's like, I don't know if you spotted me yet, so I don't want to exactly do anything and give up my position, because again, I mean, he has no retreat paths and he doesn't know what's coming behind that. So I think it's a little reasonable. He's only hiding behind a bush. It's not like he has anything of value, and maybe he's just going to wait for a better shot like we have right here.
Yeah, it looks like we've actually got some motion in the south. The T1 should know he's spotted. Gomes is spotted here. They're going to get into the fight.
Gomes is dead.
Oh.
Wow, Gomes takes a big shot from a bag of kittens. T69 immediately getting back into fray, and that should kind of set a little bit of alarm bells. He says, well, the T69 there, is that the only one? No, it can't be. There has to be more movement. But instead, EC, they're reacting by pulling back slightly rather than capitalizing. What's the correct move here, Fuko?
They're going to have to return to base to defend it because it looks like Agonize and CPYR are going to go towards the cap. They're going to cross the train tracks, and they're going to try and engage and cross, possibly screen for a cap fast. This is what they're going to try and do to come back.
I feel like Angst is possibly the wrong map to really cap fast here. It doesn't give you a lot of good screens. Obviously, you're going on top of the tracks. AMX 5100 is going to be tracked. He uses his repair kit to get out of there. Fnatic is going to duck behind cover. But
well, actually, Fnatic's going to use himself as a shield. He's going to shield Valkyrie Velas,
Valkyrie
and
rack
he
up
tries
the cap
to cap.
Points. 15 seconds on the clock. They need to get another reset. They almost guaranteed will. They do. Vex now trying to attempt to break down the wall and start to shoot. Agonize, he does get the alpha damage. Huge shot, 300, and a 1-2, and just like that, 2 members drop for their team, and now Bag of Kittens trying to salvage something, but it doesn't really matter because EC is all over their case, saying, you know what, it's time to pack up the bags, boys, because we have booked our ticket to the round of 8, 5 members down for Refuse to Die.
Exactly. This kind of move could have worked, but it looked like Red Sky, EC, was ready for it. They were totally prepared, and it looks like they've rehearsed maybe 100 times how to defend the cap. Did you see those shots over the 5100?
Yeah, those were ridiculous,
I mean, over the 5100, they killed both T1s.
Yep.
I wasn't expecting that. I didn't think they could get those shots.
I didn't either, and then all of a sudden they just blew up super, super fast. That Kittens is just going to do some...
a little fancy driving here. He's just trying to delay it, but it's really over at this point. Sella also running away, and there goes Bag of Kittens.
One of the last members, Bag of Kittens, the captain has fallen. Only Sella, the famed man from Team Refuse to Die. Where is he? He's kind of gone MIA, but it won't really matter. Whiskey and Vex will start to cap for Team EC, Ermagerd, Caernervern. We saw them in day number 1, and here they are on day number 3, initiating the cap, as they have almost guaranteed the 3-0 victory. It was a quick series compared to what we've seen before, but Sela finally making an appearance, trying to see if he can make a play. Urtai rather has his back turned, but he's just going to flip around and start putting some shots on. Doesn't really matter. Very well played. Very well played.
Yep. Well, Sella's going to try his hardest to draw this game out. Maybe you know, restore honor to his team. But unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do it because 10 seconds left on the cap. So, poor guy. But congratulations to EC. I mean,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
They played
Great
an outstanding
defensive
game.
play
Man.
as they will wrap it up and be one step closer to their ticket to WGLNA. Congratulations to EC. Blue base has been captured. Very well done.
EC taking it 3-0. I mean, I was expecting R2D to take one, maybe two, you know, but EC did a fantastic job. They've really clearly practiced, and they were perfect when they came back and defended their base.
I feel like if you're going to go for a fast cap, there are better maps to go for. The one that comes to my mind is Runeberg. I would really like to see a map like that where you can do a couple different types of caps. You can do a screen cap, you can do a fast cap. There's a lot of better things, but Angst, you have to drive over those train tracks, and I always feel like you're going to take maybe 600, 800 more damage than you need to until you start the cap.
Exactly.
And that's negative equity in my opinion. You're not gonna win the majority of games like that. Really unfortunate. And what do you know? This is the one game where we saw Ermagerd Caernervern slow the game down and say, okay, let's just play out Angst, see what you're gonna do. Why did you pick this map? And then they went from there.
Yeah, we actually never went over the tank picks. We never talked about
that's
how
true.
we actually saw
A KV5.
Trouble 2 in a KV5. That's a fantastic tank to bring on Ensk. You can play the corner games, and it has a great, huge health pool to bring. So we actually see that Trouble 2 was the second person as far as damage on his team. He even beat out Whiskey Dot, Durasta, and Vect for damage. They actually didn't hit as much as Trouble did. Trouble got 2 kills and 1.6k damage. He actually hit every shot. He only bounced once. So a fantastic play by him. And then on the top was Urtai with 13 hits. Well, actually 13 shots, 11 hits, and 10 of them penetrating. So he did 2,000 damage. That's very good for his team. On the other side, though, we see that there wasn't quite as much damage out of the IS-3s. They pushed across, remember, but they didn't aggress as much. They probably could have pulled a little bit more away from the guys trying to cap so that the T1s, no one had an opportunity to shoot the T1s.
Yeah, big ups, by the way, for Darsta. He was the one that sniped both T1s.
Yeah, Durasta is a very good player. He's a very smart guy. I wouldn't doubt that he had a hand in a lot of these strats.
Yeah, I mean, with a 5100, they're not the best accuracy. I mean, they're not like the worst either, but they're not the best accuracy. He was able to spot and snipe both T1s that had the majority, probably a good 70% of the cap.
They would have had all of the cap if they couldn't have gotten those shots.
Absolutely.
That was really well played. Great defense.
Great defense indeed, and EC has booked their ticket for tomorrow. If you are fans of their play, they'll be playing tomorrow for a round of 4 berth, which is giving them a ticket into the July 11th WGLNA launch. Keep in mind that tomorrow is a round of 8, so we should be trying to get all those matches broadcast, and we'll do our best to do so. In the meantime, we'll get everything sorted out and take a quick commercial break and maybe even do some further analysis of what happened. You're watching WGLNA. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA. We're in the middle of deciding what we're going to do next in terms of, I think we're going to jump into the next match, which is what we have here listed, the Cazadors versus Purple Rain. So that's going to be really cool to watch. I think game number 1 just finished, so we're going to try to see if we can go into battle number 2. In the meantime, we also have some cool stuff. For example, we won't even talk about the previous series that just happened. We have an instant replay of what just conspired in terms of the defense, and Ruke wanted to walk us through it.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how Ermagerd Caernervern actually defended their base. Notice how they took down the walls at the beginning so they wouldn't have to do that later. Then we have the IS-3s crossing over the tracks here. They're going to try and screen and delay any defenders. And at the same time, we've got a T-69 lining up perfectly to get shots on anyone entering. See, there's a few shots connecting there, and we see the T1 rush over behind the hill on the cap there as the IS-3s attempt to screen. But now Ermagerd Caernervern is returning to base, and they're going to start setting up in their positions to begin sniping out the cappers. They want to stop cap because they can't let it go on too long, so that what happens is pressure will eventually build, and there's a chance for someone to slip up, someone to miss a shot, autoloaders to be on reload. and something to change. But we also see DeRosta here getting fantastic shots
Oh
in the
my
series. We see
God.
them all go down
Double
right
tap,
there.
man.
DeRosta on 2 T1s, fantastic shots really. Then we've got an E1 5100 down. Its tanks just start going down and down and down. We see the more and more shots go down, and at this point we've lost a 5100. We've lost more tanks. We've lost IS-3. So at this point it's cleanup, and that was a fantastic defense. You see the very strong spread out of Ermagerd Caernervern. They did it was a really, that's exactly how you defend the base.
Yeah.
They had shots, great angles.
I'm trying to find something where Refuse to Die could have played a little bit better there, but I really feel like they were in the best positions per the map for screening out those T1s to cap fast.
Yeah. Well, I just think Ermagerd was on the same page, very organized.
Yeah.
And I think a bit more rehearsal out of Refuse to Die could have probably given them what they could have done. They could have gone back after killing that T1 to the other side of the map, because we saw tanks actually back off of the west. So
Completely agree, gentlemen, and I want to also give a shout out to Kevin for doing a great job with that nice action shot on the closing final moments of that game.